Hello, and welcome to this presentation on mission statements. The reason that I'm doing this presentation on mission statements is that increasingly the older I get, the more I realize that one of the key lackings of many of our students is a strong mission statement, not just for the statement's sake, but for the sense of a real identification of where they're headed in life. So many of our students, if you ask them what their purpose is, it's to get a great job out of college, or to get married, or to be happy. But there's no sense of real underlying driving mission that clearly defines their purpose in life, their key values, their key goals. And so this presentation is designed to introduce you to what a mission statement is, the elements of a good mission statement, and why you ought to have one. So let's begin with a business example and think about the importance of mission at a company like Walmart. So Walmart as a business, its objective and end goal is to make money for its shareholders, for its employees, and to provide ample returns to the capital that's employed. It does that by engaging in a number of tactical actions, like it builds huge logistics centers that can service multiple stores. It focuses on creating economies of scale in both distribution and retail. Behind that lies Walmart's strategy, which is fundamentally cost leadership. Walmart arrays its assets in a way that lowers its overall cost of production, and they pass that on to consumers in the form of low prices. What drives those strategies? Well, it's Walmart's mission and vision, which started decades ago with Sam Walton, who wanted to provide customers with great experiences. And that led him to realize that one of the ways he could provide great experiences was providing super value and low prices for customers. So at Walmart, mission and vision drive strategy, which drives tactical action, which drives profit. Let's talk about the importance of mission in our own lives. Just like Walmart, we need a mission and vision, and I'm not going to put anything in here because you're going to have to figure that out for yourself, what your own mission and vision really is and ought to be. What that ought to drive is your own personal goals and objectives, major things that you want to achieve, and milestones and timelines and frameworks of things that you want to do in your life. That in turn drives actions and behaviors, things you actually do day in and day out to bring those goals to pass. And the end goal of all of that, in a personal sense, is happiness. What we really want to do is, at the end of our lives, feel that our lives were meaningful, that we made the contribution that we were supposed to make, that we enjoyed ourselves while we were here, and that we had an overarching something that gave our life a coherent meaning. So here are the elements to a mission statement. A good mission statement will begin with a business definition. Whether you're an organization or an individual, you're engaged in some kind of business. That means you're engaged in activities of some sort that create value. You have major goals and objectives, things that you define as the hallmarks of happiness or the hallmarks of success if you're a business or an individual. You also have philosophies, priorities, values, sense of how you make decisions based on what's really important to you and what's not. So let's begin with a business definition. What does the business or what does an individual do? Well, to determine and to define the business, it's useful to think of these three concentric circles. Number one, who are the stakeholder groups that you are attempting to satisfy? What are the groups that you're involved with? For Walmart, it certainly is employees, investors, suppliers, and perhaps foremost for Walmart as a retailer, customers. Think about you as an individual. It might be a spouse or a significant other. It might be friends. It might be family. It might be pets. It might be children. All of those things are stakeholder groups that you as a business and you as an individual are trying to satisfy. Secondly, what are the particular needs of those stakeholders that you're satisfying? So for Walmart, the need that they're satisfying is the need for goods that can be purchased at retail, and Walmart defines its key stakeholder need as saving money. Customers really want to or need to be able to make their money go as long as and as far as they can, and so Walmart is committed to satisfying that need for low price products. Then think about competences and skills. How are those needs being satisfied? What is it that you're good at? So for Walmart, satisfying those needs means tremendous scale. Thousands of stores open to get massive amounts of product out to the public. It means their amazing logistics operation that with low cost and high efficiency brings goods from suppliers to their store shelves. Those are their competencies and skills. Now think about in a family or a personal setting. Stakeholder groups might be spouses, might be children. What are their needs? Their needs would certainly be providing for physical means and physical goods like housing, providing education, providing meals to eat, but also needs around emotional needs, love, support, companionship, and even spiritual needs about where to worship and who to worship and how to worship. So you bring to bear competences and skills to satisfy stakeholder needs and for particular stakeholder groups. So in defining your business, you want to shoot for that intersection between all three of those circles and figure out what it is you're really all about. The next element of a good mission statement are overarching goals and objectives, not yearly goals or monthly or quarterly goals, but these overarching objectives. Why does the business exist? What is it trying to achieve? What are you as an individual trying to achieve in your own life? Why do you exist? Businesses might define their goals and objectives in terms of outcome. We might want to be the market share leader or a high growth company providing stock appreciation to our investors. We might want to be the most profitable company in the industry or just make a profit. All of those things are tangible outcomes. What are the outcomes that you want in your own personal mission? What's the correlative market share? Perhaps it's mind share. What about growth and development? What does that mean to you as a person? What does it mean to create a profit or to have a surplus in your life? These are some of the outcome-based questions you can think about, and that's one way of thinking about goals and objectives. The next way is to focus on processes. So companies will say, we want to be the most innovative in our industry, or we are the innovation leader. We have quality processes to make sure that what we're bringing to market are the best possible goods at the best possible price, or speed, or flexibility. You can think about any other processes. So what are the processes that you as an individual might bring as key goals and objectives? Would those processes be things like listening, consoling, comforting, serving, teaching, learning? You can think about all sorts of processes that might become central to your definition of your purpose in life. Finally, a lot of businesses will go for feeling-based goals and objectives. We want to be the premier supplier to our customers. We want to be the best place to work for employees. We want to be loved by all of the stakeholders who interact with us. Think about feelings as an important part of your own personal mission. Do you want to be a premier person? Do you want to be loving? Do you want to be kind? Do you want to evoke a feeling where people's interactions with you can be defined in terms of what they walk away with and how they feel? So those are goals and objectives, which are the second major part of a mission statement. Finally, you can think about philosophies and principles. How do people know what matters? How do we know what's most important in this organization or in my life or in my family? You can think about certain basic beliefs. Good mission statements for companies will outline things like the role of profit. Is profit the objective of the business, or is it the outcome of serving stakeholders very well? What about the role of people, or the role of location, or the role of various assets? Think about what are your basic beliefs. What is the role of your career in your life? What are the roles of other people that you interact with and that you come into contact with? What are your basic beliefs about who you are and how you want to structure your world? Businesses will often contain what I call business values. So many banks will say we are financially conservative and prudent in our investment profiles. Or on the other hand, we might be taking as much risk as we can tolerate. So that's a business value. What about hard work, perseverance, diligence, attention to detail? All of these things are business values. And I would ask you to think about in your own personal life, what are your business values? Are you conservative and financially prudent? Are you risk-taking and aggressive? How important is hard work, attention to detail, persistence, customer service, those kinds of business values that might be important in defining your own personal mission? And finally, what are normative values? Things that are right and wrong. Companies will often talk about we want to be known as great citizens in the communities where we operate, or we want to do everything that we do with the highest level of integrity and trustworthiness. Think of your core normative values. What needs to be in your mission statement so that other people, but also you know what your moral priorities are, what's right, what's wrong, what things are the most important for you in terms of those philosophies and principles. So this is a mission statement with which you ought to be familiar. It's the BYU Marriott School of Business mission statement. It says that we have three goals, three areas where we compete: education, scholarship, and service. We want to attract, develop, place, and continue to engage men and women of faith, character, and professional ability who will become outstanding leaders and positively influence a world we wish to improve. In scholarship, we want to advance knowledge using strong conceptual and spiritual foundations to identify and solve management problems. And we want to serve in academic, professional, and civic organizations, extending the benefits of management education and scholarship to the university, to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and to the world. So let's look for each of those three elements in the BYU Marriott mission. Business definition. Well, first, we're in the business of attract, develop, place, and continue to engage men and women. So we are an educational institution, and those are the key activities. Those are the stakeholders that we're serving, the stakeholder needs that we're satisfying, and we work to develop competencies around each one of these things. In scholarship, we're in the business of advancing knowledge. BYU is not just a teaching school, but faculty here are trying to actively be members of their field and profession and advance knowledge. And finally, we define our business as serving in academic, professional, and civic organizations. These are some of our key stakeholders, and what we hope to bring to them is knowledge and the ability to teach and educate. So that's the business definition. Now let's think about goals and objectives. Well, our first goal is to help people become outstanding leaders and positively influence a world. So those are objectives of our educational mission, to help you become an outstanding leader and to make a positive impact in the world. In scholarship, we want to solve management problems. We're not particularly interested in esoteric theories for their own sake, but we want to help solve the world's pressing management and organization problems. And finally, we want to extend the benefits of management education and scholarship. We want to do outreach. We want to take what we know and what we can do well, and we want to reach out to the larger world. Those are key goals and objectives. Now let's think about values and principles. Well, notice here, we talk about faith, character, and professional ability. Faith and character might be normative values. Professional ability might be a business value. But those are clearly priorities and principles that we're looking for as we operate. Notice that in scholarship, we talk about spiritual foundations. We're not only interested in scientific theories and what they have to say, but we're interested in spiritual truths and how deploying those and how those can be used to identify and solve management problems. Finally, we have a value and principle in our affiliation with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which tells external stakeholders and internal stakeholders one of our key compass points and how we orient our values around the larger sponsoring institution. So that's an example of a mission statement and how it works and where you can find those three key elements. Here's another mission statement that you might have seen and I hope you're familiar with. It's the Johnson & Johnson Credo. This is a very famous and well-known mission statement because it actually helped Johnson & Johnson make some critical decisions. We're not going to go through this in fine detail. You can find this on the web in many forms, and I would encourage you to read through this mission statement and think about the three elements of a mission. How does Johnson & Johnson define their business? What goals and objectives do they have? And what values and priorities guide their actions? Now, just one thing to note here. Notice the first two lines. We believe our first responsibility is to the doctors, nurses, and patients, to mothers and fathers and all others who use our products and services. So as Johnson & Johnson thinks about their stakeholders, they're very clear that their primary stakeholder groups are doctors, nurses, patients, and parents, those who are using the product. What about their obligations to stakeholders, to stockholders? We'll look down at that final paragraph. Our final responsibility is to our stockholders. Business must make a sound profit. So as Johnson & Johnson orders and prioritizes what they ought to do, they think about their first responsibility is to their customers, their doctors, their nurses, and patients, and they believe that profit will follow if they do that well. So to conclude, why should you have a mission statement? Well, first, it serves as a tangible anchor for aligning your activities and all the many things that you're involved in your life. And this is one of the things that I see the most lacking is people pursuing opportunities on a fear of missing out basis rather than a thoughtful sense of which activities are going to contribute to who they really want to be and enable them to have a purposeful life and a meaningful life. Secondly, a mission statement helps define criteria for saying no. One of the things that you'll find as your career progresses is that you'll have the opportunity of a lifetime about every 3 months or so. Those people who have a clear sense of why they are existing and why they're doing what they're doing have a clear mark to say, no, that's outside of my mission and vision. That's not who I want to be with my life. Mission helps avoid traps and pitfalls of poor communication. We all think that we know what our family's about, or we think that we know what our firm is about. But do we really? Often those things are taken for granted and based on the things that we see. And oftentimes the actions that we engage in aren't necessarily consistent all the time with our mission statement. So having a mission statement and the process of developing a mission statement can help you clearly communicate to many, many stakeholders what you're all about and what your mission is and what drives you and motivates you. Finally, a mission can help you resolve conflict and trade-offs and uncertainty around goals, objectives, and values. Think about your own personal mission statement, wanting to have professional success and have a wonderful, happy, and loving family, or great friendships that are energizing and renewing. Well, those things Most often they align, but sometimes they compete. Sometimes you have to sacrifice work for family or family for work. And a mission statement helps you know how to make those difficult trade-offs by referencing them back to an ultimate framework of who and what you want to be. Interestingly enough, in a Bain & Company survey a few years ago, 84% of top executives who were surveyed said mission statements and the process of developing missions were a key strategy tool. It wasn't all about analysis and market sizing and data-driven approaches. A lot of it was value-based and value-oriented, based on who, in the ultimate sense, do we as a company want to become. So as you go forward and begin to develop a mission statement, I hope this presentation helps you to have a framework to think about the elements that can go in it. And now your task is to take these elements and turn them into your own mission statement. Thank you very much for your attention.